Y'all should be out playing golf today. You see no one? Y'all should be out golfing today.
We only get this access once a year. We're going to take advantage.
I don't blame you. I get you.
Casey, when you look at Logan Hall, kind of a big year for him, right? He's got to really emerge and come up as a pass rusher. That's one of the reasons why you guys drafted him.
No question.
Where is he physically right now from what you've seen, and what does he have to hone in on this year to kind of unlock his potential?
As we had him last couple of weeks in our phase one stuff, he did a great job in the offseason with his body. The thing is, when you go through the cut-ups and stuff with him, he just got to finish plays. He's right there, but he hadn't been able to finish. That's the biggest thing we're stressing to Ben. You kind of hit what I'm beating him up with. It's year 3. It's kind of, you ain't thinking about mental errors anymore because you know the system now. You know, been in it, it ain't changed that much. Now it's finishing plays because you got other guys that's next to you that can finish. Now you got to add to the party.
I think it's your top 6 D linemen all back.
Okay.
Pretty much the same cast, only a few new additions. Is that a good thing as a coach? I mean, is it to have the same personnel coming back? And who in that group is probably in the best position to take a step forward?
As far as continuity as a coach, yeah, because you kind of know they've been in the system always. But selfishly, as a coach, you always want somebody. You always want a little bit more. That's just selfishly. But as far as continuity, that comes back. The guys that you really kind of going through the cut-ups, you know, take a step. I think I'd start with Vita. I think he's got to take another stop being a good player and be a great player all the time. I think Kalijah, kind of the ceiling needs to go up from him. If injury-riddled season so much. 5.5, 6 sacks. Let's see what you can do in a full season with a full complement. I think he needs to take a step. We mentioned Logan. I think Greg Gaines needs to make a step because he kind of shows up with limited play. And the thing is, coming in, he was a starter. Now he's, because of our situation, as a backup. But he can make plays. So it's just going across the room. We kind of, across the board, we all need to step up.
The fact that the Bucs didn't take a defensive tackle in this year's draft, what does that say about the confidence in the room that you guys have, especially for someone like Logan that has a big role in this team?
No doubt. We going into it, there's a good chance we could get one or whatever, but the way we knew, we were very happy with the guys we had. Anybody else we got, we figured would have been a bonus. So, but the thing is, that being said, like Logan's got to step, Vita's got to play better. Kalijah's got to assume the role of the guy we drafted him to be as well. So across the board, those first-line guys got to play.
You had an undrafted free agent, Judge Culpepper, which we're all familiar with his dad, but at Toledo, I guess, last year, he did some things. What do you like about his tape?
First of all, this guy, to go back, you're talking about showing my age a little bit. We played Florida when I was in college at Tennessee, and his dad was playing. Then so happened the guy that coached his dad coached me at Tennessee the next year. So then we had Judge here on our Tampa Bay day, so I got to be around him a little bit here, sitting there. But luckily, we were thinking that he was going to get picked at the end, and luckily he was there for us. So we really wanted him after coming off the Tampa Bay day, and I was studying him a little bit. He ended up with like 9 sacks. It's just a great family and just a tremendous kid. I'm curious to see what he can do.
So you're talking about Vita today, and he needs to take a step up. He's not just a big man; he's an unusually big man.
Right.
And he's now 29 years old. As the age and the weight start to creep up, does he really have to watch his weight? Because we've seen the soft tissue injuries, the foot problems that he's had that have maybe either kept him out of the lineup or if he's in there not be as effective. Is that a concern as he gets older that he's carrying so much weight?
Okay, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but wait till you see him when he comes back. He looks a lot different. I'll just let you see him when he comes back. And then that being said, when you're talking about that and just looking at plays he was leaving out there, Vita is a really strong man. When he uses his hands properly and proper technique, he's going to be hard to stop. That's the thing. He plays hard. He does everything we asked of him. Just when you go back and you look at some plays, you should have made that play. That guy should not be blocking you. That's kind of where we need him to take the next step because he does everything else we ask him for. So now it's just kind of being the dominant guy every week, not the good guy every week.
What have you noticed about this team that came back for the first phase after, making it to the playoffs, obviously overachieving where a lot of people didn't expect you last year.
Right. Well, the good thing is we had a lot of guys that were young guys that were able to play a lot. And then the thing is, just being around here in the offseason, they're in here every day. You know, some of them never left, and which is always good. And they just hungry and wanting to learn. Now with the draft and free agency, we added some, definitely created some more competition. So I'm really curious to see what this team can do.
We've got some younger guys vying for spots on the roster.
Yes.
And CJ Brewer, who's here last year, but you got an Eric Banks and Lual, I'm not going to try to say his last name.
I just call him Lou, too.
And then also another legacy guy in Mayan. Just kind of talk about, obviously, what you saw from them to bring them in, and Mayan as an undrafted free agent.
Right. Well, when we looked at all of them as a whole, one, we wanted to create depth, and two, for those guys to be available picking up an EB, we wanted to add depth and some more competition throughout the room, and all those guys, and even Judd, all these guys had the measurables and everything, and the other measurables that we were looking for.
Casey, how would you assess Kancey's run defense's rookie season?
I think we got a long way to go. No, in all fairness, what we asked him to do, he did a good job. I'm just on him because it was so many knocks on that kid coming out. He was short arms. He couldn't do this. He couldn't do this. It's just like, I want to make sure everybody knew he could rush. That was a given. But they even knocked that because they said he had short arms. He can't do this. He can't do that. So we understood that. And I kind of take up for the kid. The kid did not have one top 30 visit and go in the first round. So there you go. But when you look at it, it was a lot of knocks. He couldn't hold up in the run game, this and that. And he can. So that's why I said, one, I would say it's a work in progress because some of the stuff we were asking him to do was a little new for him, but I anticipate him getting better and better.
When you look at the season that Kalijah had, considering he was injured for all of training camp and the beginning of the season as well, what's your excitement level for what he can do this upcoming season?
Just looking at the cut-ups and some of the stuff he did on a limited basis was really, really impressive. Now, missing 3-4 weeks of training camp with a calf, which is a kind of tough injury period, but especially tough for a defensive lineman where you're pushing off and trying to be explosive all the time. And his game is really based on him being explosive. So be curious to see, but he's another one. As soon as phase one started, he's one of the first ones back in the building. So it's good to see him moving around, and curious to see what this guy does.
With Yaya, the physical tools are there, but I know that when he came in, he was a bit raw. I know that, some of the pass rush moves were things that he had to work on. Where is he at in terms of developing more of those, having a clear rush plan, things like that?
With him, everything was 100 miles an hour from what he did in college coming into our system. But go back to what I said earlier, you're talking about one of the young men that has been here every day in the offseason. He has not left the building. I run into him in the calf more than I'm in there. So he is in here all the time. And the thing is, the growth that he will take now, he's seeing how the linemen in this league block, how protections and stuff have changed different than a lot more than he faced in college. I think he'll be a lot better all the way around.
When it comes to Diaby, he and Kancey were almost like each other's shadow last year, always hanging around.
Right.
I mean, that's not uncommon for rookies.
True.
But they're part of the same line, trying to do the same thing.
True.
Be partners in crime. As a coach, when you see that type of connection, these guys are always talking about football. What does that mean for their future together here as building blocks for your defensive line?
It's funny he mentioned that Todd, when we go through the cut-ups, he loves to see them on the same side because he feel like something good's going to happen when they two on the same side. So along the line that you mentioned, they do have a camaraderie. They communicate well, especially when we're running stunts and games. They got to make sure they're on the same page, and they do a good job there. And both of them were two young players that played a big role in our team last year, and we expect the same or more going forward. So that's really good to see that how they bond with it and communicate well with each other.
Coach Bowles told Joe Tryon Schwinka a chess piece, one of the chess pieces you can move, and plans to move maybe. With Braswell coming, like what role do you see Joe having this year? What can he do?
Well, the thing with Braswell coming in and with Joe is just like we have the ability now to create so many matchups that we want. I don't know that you guys might have realized through the year, at the end of the season, we were in a lot of they would classify us as 5 down. We have 5 bigs out there. The thing that does for you is simplifies the protection. We're not worried about them turning him. If they happen to turn him loose, we got Joe on the back. We're going to live with that. So we created a lot of mismatches, created a lot of one-on-ones. So we were, like we like to say, we were playing defense on our terms. And that's the chess piece part of it, because now not only can he rush, he has drop skills. He can put him here, now. And then out there, we like to say, look at all those little numbers we got there. You're going to figure out who 0 is, who's 6, who's 9. There's a lot of them. So if we want to confuse the offensive line with our personnel, who's the back guy? So it creates a chess piece for us.
Guy like Braswell, he obviously been playing mostly edge, but if you watch his tape, he's a guy who kick inside too.
Exactly right.
Do things. How excited are you to kind of get your hands on him and utilize him in different ways?
Well, when you kind of go back to the pieces, we want to be a pressure defense, and every player that we added were we considered a pressure player. Whether you pressured the run or you pressured the quarterback or pressure receivers in coverage, we want to pressure players because we want to create pressure all the time.
Overall, where does this defense need to be better to kind of elevate?
Third down defense, especially. That's the one thing that was glaring is you kind of go back through it, for sacks where we finished, rush defense where we finished, but third down defense, red zone defense was pretty good, but third down defense was Achilles heel.
Coach, you were talking about pass rush pressures. The highest percentage guy you had is Marquise Watts at 23% last year in terms of winning those one-on-ones.
Right.
Why wasn't he more of a factor down the stretch when he was so effective in those?
It was just so many, and then one of the problems we had with Watt was getting into the game. You only can take so many, and we saw his production when he had him, but then can we get him to the game? He won't be active this week. Or if we had an injury somewhere else and we had to move the pieces, he was a piece we always wanted to have, but based on other roster needs at the game, we might not have him at the game.
You guys added another piece to that edge rush pressure front with Randy Gregory. What did you guys like about him to want to bring him in at that location?
When we were going through free agency and we were looking at different guys, you talking about a guy, we had a laundry list that we went through, but when you kind of watch him, he still could bend, he still could win one-on-ones, and to go back to what we like, we want to pressure, and he was another pressure piece. So now, and he's another guy that has them little numbers, so that's another problem. You can put him here, you can put him over there, you can put him over there. We're going to make the offense try to find him, and this guy knows how to get to the quarterback, so it was a win-win situation for us, we felt.
You lost
Couple
two
more,
leaders in Carlton and Shaq.
True.
Who needs to step up to kind of fill their void?
Well, the thing is, we feel like as secondary as a whole, we all need to step up. We love Winfield, this and that. We got some veteran people back there now. Izzy played a lot as a rookie. We had a lot of young guys back there. So losing Carlton, we added my guy from the Jets, we just added him. We added Tyke. We adding more pieces to the back end right there, so hopefully they can gel and come forward. Adding Braswell to the outside linebacker group help us. That way we can kind of go forward with the pieces that we lost.
Jason said we learned most about that 2020 season was depth was key. Do you feel like on the defensive side, do you have enough depth at key positions to go through a long, 17-game season running?
Well, the thing is, we look about it coming out of the draft, we like where our numbers were right there with not just depth, what we feel like was quality depth. If this guy has to go in and win the game or finish the game for us, can he do it? Is he able to do it? And that's where we feel like we've definitely made the upgrade.
Casey, one of the players that both Todd and Jason were talking about this offseason at the owners' meeting at the combine was Jose Ramirez, somebody that was giving fits to Tristan Wirfs,
Right.
Luke Gedeke in practice on the practice squad. What have you seen from his development behind the scenes? I know he missed a lot of the preseason last year with a
Right.
hamstring injury, but where does he factor in all this, and what do you like?
It's a long, the lines have gotten really long over there, but we like Jose, and the thing is, he flashes in practice, and you're going against Tristan every day. It don't get much better than that, so feel like if you can beat one of the best in the business now, you can really help us. So, but he's another one in that line, and, coming in with Yaya and stuff like that, he sees what he was able to do, and he's hungry too. He's another one that's been in the building every day since the offseason, so that's promising. I'm curious I can't wait to see them guys back out on the grass.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, y'all. Good to see you.